Good morning, and welcome to Mystical Teachings from the Tanya. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We welcome this morning Erica from Norway. Good afternoon to you. Clem in Brisbane, where it is early morning. Welcome, Clem. Michael in Ontario, Boker Tov. Anna is with us from Hungary. Good afternoon. Art in Michigan, Boker Tov. Andrea in Phoenix, Arizona. Good morning. John is with us from North Carolina. Good morning. Hannah from Manchester in the UK. And Ahova in Seattle, Washington, bright and early. Good morning and welcome. Virginia is with us from Calgary. Good morning. Calgary must have a lot of snow by now, I would imagine. If we have, I'm sure Calgary even has more. From Oro Valley, Arizona, Michelle, good morning. Marjan from Atlanta, where she'll see my daughter teaching together. It's amazing. Send my best, please. Terry from South Carolina, shalom. Who else is joining us? Priscilla, rather. Good morning. Robin from Brooklyn. Good morning to you. Okay. We continue with beginning of chapter 28. Chapter 28 in one word, B'tfilah, in prayer. What we learned in the previous chapter was how to deal with extraneous thoughts, negative thoughts. Negative thoughts that occur to us when we're engaged in our own stuff, whether it's work, business, lunch, breakfast, whatever. When that extraneous negative thought comes into our mind, a negative thought about somebody that we shouldn't have a negative thought, a erotic thought that is inappropriate, whatever it might be, we should be joyous. Why? Because we can now fulfill a mitzvah. In other words, when you're engaged in your own thing, not necessarily is it a mitzvah, but when that negative thought comes in, now you can fulfill a mitzvah of not going after your heart's desire that your eyes lead you astray. Right? From the third paragraph of the Shema that we say twice a day. So you have an opportunity now to do what God needs from you, to push away that negative thought. In this chapter, though, we speak about what happens if you're learning Torah like we're doing right now, or we're in the midst of prayer with intent. So you're already doing a mitzvah. So you got to be joyous in the doing the mitzvah, right? You're studying now Tanya. It's a mitzvah. It's a connection to God. They should be done with joy, as all mitzvahs should be done with joy, or in prayer. And then the extraneous negative thought comes into your head. So you can't say, oh, now be joyous because you can fulfill a mitzvah. You're already in the midst of a mitzvah. So the reasoning of the previous class of bringing joy doesn't apply because the joy is already there, the joy of doing a mitzvah. So then what should you do? What's the mindset? What is the focus? The Alter Rebbe says, don't pay attention to it. Avert your mind from it immediately. Because you're already doing something good. You don't want something negative to be interrupting the good that you're doing. Right now we're learning. And if something comes in, a thought that is not appropriate, push it away immediately. Now the Alter Rebbe says something very interesting. A person might foolishly think, well, if a negative thought came into me and I'm in the midst of doing good, maybe I should take that negative thought and bring it to its root source, bear its root source on it. It's called halos amidus, the sublimation of the emotion, of that extraneous thought. The Alter Rebbe says, don't be so foolish to do such a thing. He says that's only intended for the righteous to do. Let me explain. The righteous, as we've explained, do not have negative thoughts of their own, that is. Meaning, they don't have negative thoughts that have any negative emotion that's attached to it. But it can happen to a righteous, because of their connection to others, that the negative thought of another could fall into their head. Now, the difference, though, is when we have negative thoughts, like let's say someone hurt my feelings, a loved one hurt my feelings, and I have negative thoughts towards them. I'm not just having negative thoughts, I'm also having negative emotion. I'm having a negative emotion. I'm feeling, something negative about that person. That's what's happening to us. Why? Because we're not righteous. The negative thought comes with a negative feeling, a negative, whatever, hate, anger, whatever it might be, towards that individual, by way of example. Now, the righteous will never have that. Others are not righteous. But not the negative emotion, but they can have the negative thought. And the reason why they would have the negative thought is because of their close connection to that individual, who they actually are helping them to uplift that negative emotion and bring it and bear upon it its root source. So, for example, the negative emotion towards a person. So the root source of it in the divine will ultimately come from a place where it can be transformed. So a righteous person can take that thought, that negative thought, bear upon it its root source, bring it, exalt it to its place, and help that person, even unbeknownst to them, in how to deal with that negativity. But that's only the righteous can do it. I can't do it, and you can't do it. You know why? Because when we have that negative thought, we have also a negative emotion. That negative emotion is binding us and holding us down and not allowing us to elevate that positive, negative thought. We're bound. We have a negative emotion in the left ventricle of our heart that is the evil of the animal soul in that negative emotion. So we can't raise something when we're bound down by that negativity. So it'd be foolish for us to try to sublimate that emotion. That's what the Alter Rebbe says. So what do you got to do? As he originally said, you're in the midst of learning Tanya right now. You're in the midst of prayer, the concentration. So push it away. Nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe continues and says, don't be downhearted or feel dejected and feel low. Imagine, you're learning Tanya right now, and imagine a negative thought comes to you. Or you're in the midst of prayer and a negative thought comes to you. Right? You're serving God. Well, what's going on here? In the middle of my serving God, there should be negativity that enters into my headspace. So you might feel despicable. What a low life I am. He says, no. Don't feel that way. That's wrong. Actually, muster up some joy. You know why? Because you need fresh strength to intensify your determination, to now pray more fervently, to learn more focused, with greater joy and gladness of heart. Why? Like, where does that come? Just like out of nowhere? Actually, it's coming now, that joy that you need to have from a realization. And what's the realization? When you're doing good, why do you think foreign, extraneous, negative thoughts would come to you? To distract you from doing the good, from distract you from praying with intent, to distract you from learning Tanya, to learn Torah, whatever else, right? That's what it's trying to do. It's trying to combat the good that you're doing. So when you realize that negative thought, that's what it's coming for, that realization should bring you to greater joy, that you will now gain greater strength and intensity to prevail over that thought and not allow it to subdue you. But you're going to subjugate it, subdue it, and vanquish it in that moment. That you topple, as we gave the metaphor in the previous chapter of the wrestling match. The negative side, the animal soul, is trying to wrestle you down from the good that you're engaged in right now, and to topple the divine soul by the means of this foreign thought, this extraneous negative thought. So that should be an encouragement, because now you know, oh, you're actively engaged. There's a negative side that's trying to bring you down from the good. You know, when you're not doing good, the negative side doesn't have to bring you down, because you're engaged anyways in things that are, right? It doesn't need to do that. It might want to bring you down the slippery slope, and that's what we spoke about in the last chapter. Yes. But when you're doing good, your animal soul can't stand that. I'm going to try to remove you from that focused goodness in your prayer or in that learning that you're engaged in. So that's a realization that, wow, I'm doing something good. And there's, and what happens is, in a wrestling match, what happens? When when the good side gets strong, the negative side has to muster themselves up to gain an extra strength to topple you. So then what's that going to do to you? You're going to muster up even greater strength. So you have joy in that moment and recognizing and realizing that this is what's happening. And battle and win. Short class today. We will continue with this thought. It's actually in the middle of a thought. I thought I was going to say something very powerful tomorrow. It's very powerful today. As we say, every day there is a chiddush, there's a novelty. I know now that, something that I didn't know previously in this teachings, not in other teachings, but in this teaching. So now, please share. I know now that. Please share with me. Priscilla says, so timely. Sean is asking, is the battle duality? Well, of course, we have our godly soul and our animal soul, and that's where the battleground is, in trying to overcome and take over me. The limbs of my body, my garments of self-expression, thought, speech, and action. The godly soul wants that we should be engaged in doing things that connect me to God and stay away from things that disconnect me. And the animal soul wants to topple that. So when we have that awareness, that realization, that brings a joy to me in mustering more strength than when I'm learning Tanya, as we're doing now, and if any negative thought came to us, to overcome. All right, let's see what we got over here. Barry says, relevant for me today. I think for all of us. But thank you for sharing that, Barry. David, I know now that when we are doing good by learning Torah, and the negative side is trying to distract us and bring me down from learning, but I need to fight it and not give it strength. Very good. Michael, I know now that we must learn the root source of the negative inclination Well, no, we said don't learn about it. Just push it away. We can't elevate it. Clem, I know now that to push away all the negative thoughts and not to try to find out their origin. Right, very good. Marjan, I know now that the negative thoughts are an opportunity for me to practice doing the right thing. Excellent. Karen, I know that I love my negative thoughts to have the opportunity to do a mitzvah. All right. I don't know if love the negative thoughts is the way I would express it, but I get what you're saying, Karen. Erica, I know now that I must strengthen my learning when I feel the evil thought enter my mind whilst I am studying to combat it. Excellent. Eugene, I know now that the negative thoughts come to distract me from doing mitzvahs. So instead of engaging in the battle with negativity, I need just to push it away and double my efforts on learning or praying. Excellent, excellent, very good. Anna, I know now that while I'm engaged in Torah study and a negative thought comes my way, I can only push it away since I'm emotionally bounded to the thought. Very good. Also, I know now that the animal soul's aim is to push me away from fulfilling the mitzvah. Therefore, if I succeed to push it away, I will feel a greater joy. Let me just correct that a bit, Anna. It's not about feeling the joy. It's about an attitude of joy. Remember, joy is not an emotion. So it's not a result of something. Love and fear and awe are an emotion, and they're a result of an awareness. Joy is an awareness, is an attitude, is a mindset. So it's not going to be a result that I will have joy, I will feel greater joy because I, pushed it away. No. I need to have the greater joy because, again, when you're in the wrestling match and you don't have joy, what's going to happen? You're going to get a little lethargic and you're not going to overcome. So we need to have the attitude, the mindset, the attitude of joy in order that we muster up more strength because this negative thought that's coming my way is trying to battle me and it gaining strength, so I need to gain strength. I hope that's clearer. Priscilla, I know that, by the way, if anybody wants to come on, please try to now. I know that as a focus on the direction of the focus negativity, try is to be distracted from doing the good and learning Torah. Very good. Layla or Lali, I don't know if I pronounced that right. My apologies. I know now that we should seek refuge in God whenever we are aware of the evil inclination that tries to keep us away from the remembrance of Hashem. Thank you. Batya, I know now that the animal soul doesn't like when I am focused on doing mitzvahs and learning. It desires to disconnect me from Hashem, whereas my Yetzer Tov rejoices and connects with Hashem. Very good. Excellent. 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 Okay. Hannah, I know now to recognize that my Yetzer Hara tries to invade my thoughts and with negative thoughts when I am doing good, and I must learn to overcome it. Okay, excellent, excellent. Who else do we have? Anybody new that would like to share something that someone hasn't shared yet? Ahuva. I know now that when those negative thoughts come, in the midst of doing a mitzvah, the act of letting that thought go is strengthening in and of itself and musters up the joy, which is important in carrying out the mitzvah. Very good. Okay. Okay, today's class, in honor of Hannah's husband, who's having an operation right now. If you can put his name, his Jewish name, and mother's Jewish name, so we can say also Tillim for a speedy and immediate recovery. All right. Yep, please share that, Hannah. And all right, folks. Refuah Shlema, Refuah Kreva, and Pesach Yom Tov Ben Chayesara. Okay, beautiful. All right, should have a speedy and complete Refuah Shlema. Today's learning dedicated to him. And let us hear good news. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kedeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya reminder of today at noontime. Our My Yeshiva continues on Zoom, also on Chabad ZK Facebook. And please do come and join us for our weekly learning program for an hour and a half every single day. And we will continue, God willing, tomorrow. Have a great day.